Hey y'all, come with me to work out before my photo shoot tomorrow on Saturday. Here I just got done doing my little run. I do a mile on a treadmill every time I go to the gym. So it's just 3 times a week. I've been working on my back, trying not to be big backed, that's not cute. But let's do a story time while y'all watch me work out and leave down in the comments if you want me to do a more in-depth um overview of my workouts in the gym or any workouts that I do. I'm in the gym, like I said, 3 times a week. If my hair is not done, because I'm a black girl. But so let's get into this story time. So last weekend I was out and about in my city and I was walking around and I met this guy. And where I was walking around was pretty active. It was sunny outside and he pulls up on me. He's like, "Oh my goodness, you're so gorgeous. Like, can I take you to get a drink at this restaurant that wasn't too far?" So, and he's in his car and I'm walking around because, like I said, it was beautiful outside. And it's been a couple of weeks since it's been sunny outside. So I was like, sure, why not? I didn't get a bad vibe from him. And just to spoil alert, this story doesn't end with him. He's not the issue at all. We had a good time. Um, but yeah, so he goes in his truck and he goes to park it, and I walk over to the restaurant, which I'm familiar with. I frequent the area often, so it wasn't like a huge deal. So we get to the restaurant and we sit down. We're just talking. He orders me a drink. He must frequent the restaurant as well pretty often because the bartenders and stuff know him. I've been to this particular restaurant a couple of times, but not enough for the people there to know me. But we have a couple of drinks and we're just talking, getting to know each other. He's a nice guy. I really appreciated the kind gesture. He's asking me if I want to eat anything. And I was like, no, because I just got done making breakfast. It was only like right after brunch time. So I was just like, nah, it's okay. We can just have a drink. And I wasn't planning on staying too long because I was out because I wanted to go on a walk. I like walking around my neighborhood. It's really pretty. So, and I just like to be out and see things and see the people and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, we're having drinks, we're getting to know each other. He's an older, like middle-aged guy, so he's telling me about his son and um we're just talking, not too much, not too little. He never gave creep vibes or anything like that, thank God. Um okay, fast forward a little, like 2 3 hours. So we're sitting at the bar and this even older gentleman comes in with his wife. His wife is super pretty, and then but he clearly is probably a little bit inebriated or something. Probably had a drink or two because he's just loud and like laughing. Now, I thought it was funny because old men when they be acting a fool, especially black old men when they be acting a fool, it's never out of like malice or anything like that. So I just thought he was really hilarious, and he's talking to us and he's telling us that he is a part of this large church that's not too far from where we are. And he's just talking to us. He's asking us if we're married, and we're like, no, we're not married, we just met. Just kind of just randomly talking to people, just being nice and kind or whatever. And him and his wife are briefly at the bar. They're waiting for their table to be sat. And so probably for about 10 minutes, we're all just talking about nothing, basically, right? But then he tells us that he works on movies and that he is a movie producer, or what did he call himself? Um, the name of this word is slipping me right now, but basically, he is in the process of producing a movie, right? And so he looks at us both and he's like, if you guys are interested, I would love it if you can send me some headshots or whatever, right? And for me, you guys know, as you can see, I am getting ready for a photo shoot here. I'm not really into acting, really, but I'm not against acting at all. I'm more into the modeling scene. So, when he said like a movie, I wasn't necessarily all that excited about it. I more or less was just, I'm gonna have to cut this out. So, okay. So I wasn't really all that excited to hear that he was doing a movie, because it's just like that's not really. I never really wanted to do a lot of acting, although I will. And I've been trained in acting, but that's just not what I'm in this creative space for. So he basically tells us before him and his wife get seated, if you guys are interested, send me over any headshots that you have. I would love to cast you guys. You're so friendly or whatever. And I do this often. Like I cast extras in movies. So we're like, okay, whatever. And then we say bye bye, nice to meet you. And then they go about their day. Me and the other gentleman, we were at the bar for a few more hours and we were just talking. He was a cool guy. We had a couple drinks, and then as the night went on, I ended up staying way past sundown. So I was just like, let me go ahead and get ready to go because it's getting dark outside, and that's not. I was literally just gonna go on a stroll that day. So we say goodbye, and then a week or so passes, and the guy texts me, and he's like, "Hey, that older gentleman that we met at the bar, he reached out to me and wanted to speak to you." Because we had a discussion about me being a model and stuff like that, so he was really interested in meeting me for the role. And I was like, that sounds cool or whatever. He sends me the man's phone number, and by this time it's 7 days later. Let me just put that on the table. I again had met the man, and I wasn't really all that interested in being in a movie. But like an opportunity is an opportunity at the end of the day. So I wasn't gonna keep turning it down, especially because I have been manifesting, being able to live off of modeling and acting and things like that, because I don't necessarily care for working a 9 to 5. I don't think anybody else does either. And it's my passion. So why not, try to strive for it and live off my creativity? And you never know when, God is sending you somebody. So, or sending you an opportunity. So I was just like, I already passed it up the first time. This time he's actually reaching out to me and he wants to speak to me. He wants to get to know me a little bit better, or, cast me in a role. So let me just go with the flow. Let me not turn something down that could be really good for me, right? So I message the guy, and he gives me his wife's email to send over my headshots and my resume. And I was like, sure, send it over, no problem. Sent it, and then we spoke for a little while on the phone, and he just was kind of reiterating, telling me a little bit more about himself. We spoke on the phone for about an hour. He's telling me all about who he's worked with before, and his past and where he used to live outside of the country and things like that. But that wasn't a problem at all. I was actually really excited to hear some of the things he said. Um, I just want to get to the moral of the story here. As a model, I have to be very cautious of the opportunities I take and the way I move, especially because I'm not signed to an agency. So if I'm being a freelance model, or, even if I'm going to be in any movies or anything of that nature, it's really important for me to not just take anything and just go with anybody and do whatever, because at the end of the day, this is still the real world, and people do messed up things. Like, I'm not going to say exactly where I live, but in the area, they've had really bad situations with sex trafficking. I just, as a woman, am not someone who is trusting of men in general, unless I know you're legit. So, and I just think that's just the way that we should all move. Like, as if you're going to be in a creative space, if you're not modeling or acting, whatever you do, you shouldn't just easily trust somebody because anybody could do anything. And one thing my mother told me, and something that her uncle told her when she moved away from home, was you never take any wooden nickels, which basically means like you don't take anything from anybody. Like, don't be stupid, right? So again, we spoke for a little while, sent him over my information. He was excited to work with me and everything like that. And something in me was like, ask him for like a resume, ask him for like, whatever work he's done. Because me as a model, I have a portfolio. I don't always share my portfolio, but you can easily go on my Instagram and see all of the work that I've done in the past. Not all of it, but you could see like a good chunk of it. You know that I am saying what I'm saying is who I am. If I say I'm a model, I can show you that I'm a model and it's no issue, right? Whereas him, although I will give him the benefit of the doubt, he was an older guy. But when you go online, you can't find anything under his name. Like you don't see any work that he's done. And even the only thing that you could see online was his Facebook page. And even that to me was like kind of sketchy because like everybody has a Facebook page. You could literally just copy somebody's name and say you're somebody that you aren't off of Facebook. So for him to have like throughout the entire conversation, he's talking about how he knows this person and that person, all A-list celebrities. I'm not going to name drop anybody for legal issues, or legal reasons, but he's saying like he knows the cream of the crop top industry actors. He's saying he knows the Obamas, like everybody, he knows them, right? And honestly, where I am, it's not necessarily uncommon. It wouldn't be uncommon for these people to be in the same social circles, but it didn't really matter because anybody could say that. You don't know me from a can of paint. I could tell you right now, oh, I could be like, I'm Michelle Obama's niece. And you will believe it. Like, I can say I'm anybody, and that just will be that. So, why would I just trust some random guy that has been reaching out to me about a role, but he doesn't have any background, he doesn't have any like all he can show is that he's got money and that he's affluent, but he's not saying like who he is. If I ran into somebody that was like on Atlanta Housewives or something, I could be like, oh yeah, I know that person and I've seen them before, so they're legit. Like, I believe who they are. But this particular person, I had never seen him before. So the fact that he was just up and telling me like all these people that he knows and how, he's gonna pay me this amount of money and that amount of money for doing this, that, and the third, it sounded really good, but it was like, you haven't really said who you were. So okay, back to the storyline. That night I messaged him and I was like, hey, can you I lied and I was like, I talked to my family about it and they, were just kind of curious of who you were, and they wanted me to ask you to send over their resume, or send over your resume, because we just want to check and see if you're legit. He messaged me back and he was like, usually I wouldn't even talk to you. And I basically he got completely defensive when I asked him to send over a resume, which if you're in a creative space, if you do something, if you're a photographer, you can pull up your portfolio and show where you've shot with different people. You can show who you shot with, you can give them your at names or whatever their at names, and you can research the different models that they've shot with and things like that. Or like, let's just say a movie producer. If you're a movie producer, you can show me, the clips of the movies that you've produced, or you can show me different projects you've worked on, even if it wasn't just your project. So the fact that he immediately got defensive was a complete red flag. Like, when I tell you he was going off on me because I asked him just to see his resume, like, I wasn't even asking for too much. I was like, I'm not refuting anything you said. I just want to see some work you've done, basically, right? Because even in being casted in this role, he hadn't told me the name of the role, he hadn't told me the plot of the movie. Like, everything he said, even when he did explain it, it was very all over the place. Like, it didn't seem like a movie that was going to be like straightforward. I don't know, like, it just didn't seem all that I don't know, it just didn't make sense. Like, I guess, like, if I'm talking about a comedy, like, I can tell you parts of that comedy that are gonna be funny, or if I'm talking about a horror film, I can tell you about the plot of this horror film, and it's all going to be copacetic and line up with one another. Like, the plot is gonna be smooth. Whereas what he was telling me was just all over the place. Like, I didn't get it. So I just want to, check the validity of his story. So he messages me back, and he also calls me, but my phone was on do not disturb, so it went automatically to voicemail. And like as I'm, texting him, I'm reading his voicemail, and it's just like he's basically like offended that I asked him about his background. I had to go back and look at the messages real quick because it was just so crazy, all of the things that he was literally saying to me. First off, he started off by saying, like, I'm an executive producer and I would never talk to you. I only deal in money, I only deal with people with money. And I've worked with people like Tyler Perry before, and it wasn't that he was saying all this. Like, he has said a lot of it, like said a lot of like the people he had worked with prior to in our previous conversation. It was the fact that it's like, why are you so angry now? And then he's like, I would never talk to you. But you did talk to me though. Like, that was the crazy part about the whole situation, was the fact that he went out of his way to talk to me when I was sitting there having drinks with the guy. He went out of his way to text the guy a whole 7 days later to have me specifically contact him. So I'm like, oh, and he was like, yeah, if because the way I framed it was like my parents wanted to know who you were. And he was like, well, I usually deal with people with agents. And I'm like, but you just said that you often go and like cast people off the street like all the time. So what are you talking about? You deal with people with agents. A lot of people don't just hire agents. Like, people don't just randomly have agents all the time. So then he's like, he's just spewing a whole bunch of just like deflection and just angered because I asked him to prove who he was, which was like, that's the biggest red flag. Like, you can't even with a straight face tell me exactly who you are. So okay, anyway, back to what he was saying. He was like, um usually I would ask to speak to your parents anyway. But I'm like, dude, you're lying out of your ass because you literally talked to me for a whole hour and you never mentioned speaking with my parents. Granted, I would like to put out there, I am above 18, so I don't need my parents to talk to anybody for me. But it is just like, it doesn't matter if I'm saying my agent wants to, my parents want to, my freaking roommate, if I had one, wanted to know who you were. It's the fact that when I asked you to bring out your credentials, you could not. So, and I told him, I was like, that's crazy because like if somebody asks me, if I say I have a psychology degree, which I do, if I say I have a psychology degree and somebody's like, no, you don't, and I'm not going to get offended by that because at the end of the day, I have my psychology degree on my shelf in my house. You get what I'm saying? Like, if somebody is so, if you actually do something, you don't get offended when somebody asks you, do you do this? Do you do this? Or can you show me some examples of your work, or et cetera, et cetera. So then the narcissism starts jumping out, right? And this is all within the first like 2 or 3 messages that he sent me back to back. But he starts saying like, if you don't trust me, just delete my number. Like, he's trying to dangle this opportunity in my face and tell me to delete his number. Like, I won't actually delete his number. And that's one lesson learned, ladies. If somebody ever tells you to delete their number, delete their fucking number. I don't care who they are, because at the end of the day, if you want to speak to me, if you want to work with me, then I didn't really want your number in the first place. Like, I would have never spoke with you in the first place. So you telling me to delete your number is not doing anything for me, to me. It's like you're trying to assert some sort of dominance so that way I'll be like, oh, no, 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 I didn't mean it. Like, it's okay. I'm not that kind of girl. I don't know who he's worked with before, but I don't just do anything for anybody. I'm not so desperate for a role that you can talk to me all kind of crazy. I don't care how much money you perceive yourself to have. That's one thing I don't like especially as like coming from black people and black professionals, it's like you want to sit on a high horse because you make money. That's great. That's inspirational and everything. Everybody wants to get to a point where they're comfortable making money and they can provide and everything like that. But when you start looking down on people because you have money, it shows me your character and it shows me that I don't want to work with you in the first place. So he's like, delete my number. He said it like 3 or 4 times. And this is after me telling him, like, I'm not denying you. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. He's like, I do feel offended. And I was like, I don't see why you would feel offended about me asking you to show credentials. Like, the only people who feel offended by asking you to prove themselves are people who can't prove themselves. Let's be real. So, I was like, after he said, like, basically he started to back off because he started to see, like, I wasn't about to just bow down to him. Like, I don't even know who you are, dude. He's like, I've worked in this city for 15 years. And I was like, well, I've been in this city for 10 years and I've never heard of you before. So, me asking you simply, like, to show me like some more proof of who you say you are, that should not bother you, especially if you say that you cast people off the street all the time, right? Like that should be a question that everybody's asking. If you want to work with people who are professional, if you want professional models on your set, then of course they're going to be skeptical about just random people coming up to them and asking them, do you want to work on my project? But see, that's why I need to get an agent, because I don't like that feeling of like having to vet people on my own. That's one reason that people do get agents, is for this specific reason, because they don't want to have to deal with people who are fake or phony or even disrespectful, because he completely went straight to disrespect as soon as he saw that I wasn't going for the okey doke, or as soon as he saw that I wasn't completely desperate to work with him, because I never was. Like I said, I literally wait. I didn't contact him after 7 whole days. He contacted a guy who I had just so happened to meet, so that way he could get in contact with me, not the other way around. So he's like, delete my number. And I was like, okay, you keep asking me to delete your number, and now it's deleted. So you can stop hitting my line. Thank you. And he continued to text me like hours later, talking about who he knows and who he was trying to basically I he talked about his daughter, and like how his daughter was a basically a school queen at the time. I won't disclose the school or anything like that, but the school I'm very familiar with. So he was basically trying to make himself seem more reputable. But my whole point was, it's not about who you know or anything like that. It's about the fact that you won't even prove who you are. And it, like, don't name drop to me, because anybody can say, let's just use Beyonce as an example. He didn't say Beyonce, but let's just use Beyonce as an example. I can tell you until I'm blue in the face, I know Beyonce. But if I go in a space where Beyonce is and she looks at me crazy, like, who is this girl trying to put her arm around me and all that, it's going to make me look real stupid in front of other people. So if I ask you to show me who you are, that shouldn't be a huge problem. I think that's one thing as a model that everyone needs to be, or young models need to be wary of, especially that manipulative tactic of like, as soon as I ask him for something, to prove himself, he's on some like, oh, well, I'm gonna take the opportunity away from you. That's narcissism. That's narcissism at its finest. Um, and again, I have a psychology degree. I'm not falling for narcissism, because narcissists do whatever they want to, and they can get you in any position, any vulnerable position, and do anything and mess around, and you end up in a fucked up position because you just wanted a opportunity oh so bad. Like, I'm not that girl. Again, I grew up in California. I know that there are way bigger opportunities elsewhere. So I'm not like, oh my God, I'm going to, this is the only opportunity that I'm ever going to have. So let me jump on it right now. Like, no, forget you and your opportunity. He's like, you can watch it in the theaters when it comes out. And I wanted to tell him so bad, but I was trying not to argue. I wanted to tell him so bad, sir, I don't even like going to the movies. I'm gonna catch it on Netflix if I can when it comes out, if it even makes it to Netflix. Like, let's be real. And so then at one point he like tries to soften up his demeanor a little bit, and he's like, well, I have a casting director for the movie, and he gives me their name and number, and he's like, you can reach out to them if you don't trust me or whatever like that. And I was like, no, you reached out to me. How about you have them reach out to me and talk to me about the opportunity? I'm not reaching out to anybody else. I don't know you, I don't know them. I don't need to be calling around asking people about you when they could easily be lying. Like, what who do you think this is? Like, let's be real. Like, all the things going on in the world right now, and you as a grown man don't understand why it's important to come legit in these kind of situations. But I guess, I mean, if you're used to just working with people who are desperate, that's cool too. I understand. Anyway, that was my little spiel, my little story time for this video. I just wanted to kind of shed light on the fact that you don't always have to take opportunities just because people are dangling them in your face. Some people are predators, especially in this day and age. Like, people literally like are selling people's organs and making millions of dollars off of it. People are sex trafficking black girls at astronomical rates. So if somebody doesn't understand your boundaries, then move on, move around, because at the end of the day, if you're talented, if you like to work, like as you see, like I'm on set, like this is not something that I'm not used to. I've been doing this for years now. So I know there's always other opportunities. There's always going to be people who are out there looking for models, looking for people to fill in at places. There's always, even movies. Again, I'm not necessarily into the whole acting thing, but there's always going to be opportunities to act. There's always going to be opportunities to get on stage somewhere. Like, you're always going to have opportunities to be seen if you put yourself out there. And it's not to be like bitchy or hard to work. Well, I guess I don't care if you call me a bitch at the end of the day. Call me a bitch, because you know what? Bitches get ahead. But it's not about like trying to be hard. It's about safety at the end of the day. And if you can't answer a simple request when you are requesting something of me, then no, I'm good and I will go elsewhere. It won't be an issue for me. Um, yeah, but enjoy the rest of this photo shoot. I'm here shooting with Timothy. He's a photographer that I met 2 years ago. Again, somebody I'd already worked with and already seen his work and saw that he's reputable, and I could go somewhere and see like all of the different people that he's worked with and his reviews and his website, etc., etc., etc. Um, if you're a model, keep that in mind. Just always keep in mind, like, if you want to work with somebody and you're freelance, you're not signed, look for people who know other people. Look for people who have their website up. Look for people who have people you can go on their page and ask them, "Hey, is this guy cool? Is he a creep? How did you feel about him?" That's how I got really far. Met so many photographers when I first started. Aside from being signed to a smaller agency when I first started, and kind of just building up a list of photographers that I had worked with before then. I mean, at that time, I had also branched out to other photographers, but I did so by asking the models in my network, how do you feel about this person? What was your experience? And whether either they told me he was hella cool and we had a great shoot and we got some good shots out of it, or they straight up tell me, no, I don't like him. He gives me weird vibes, which is very rare. I haven't really ran into that, but it's still like there's an option for that. Also, there's a lot of lists of men who are predators out these days, which I really like. A lot of models, get in these group chats and they go ahead and blacklist photographers who do creepy stuff while they're shooting, which is something that you also should look out for as an aspiring model, as somebody who's coming up. Um, because these men, they don't have to deal with the same things women have to deal with. They can do whatever they want to do and go about their day and probably not even remember who you were at the end of the day. So, um, yeah, just enjoy the rest of this shoot. I hope this isn't out of frame the entire time. If so, I'll just delete it. But I enjoyed this shoot. I wish I had done a little bit more. that's another thing. Like on my end, I sometimes wish that I was a little bit more. I don't know. This was just a test shoot too, so next time we'll probably have a little bit more of a dynamic to the set. I don't like black and white backgrounds because they're just so boring at this point. And they don't do anything for my skin tone. Anyway, just enjoy. I'm going to sign off for now. Thanks for listening, though. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment if you can. So it helps my engagement. Thanks so much. Bye.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh, that light was hitting right there. Yeah. I like that. I'm vanilla, baby. I'll choke you, but I ain't no killer, yeah, baby. The silhouettes. I like them. I get love in Detroit like
in about 5-10 minutes, you're gonna be going through all of them. I saw another one you did when you were bending out that way. Let me see how it looks.
Was I here?
Right there. Yes. Can you hold that for me?